What a head, son! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through my very own team selection for the upcoming Game Week 31. Now I know that you've probably heard my voice a few more times than you'd like to this week, but don't worry, this is probably going to be the only video I do create for the upcoming Game Week 31. Now that's of course due to the insane schedule that we just had for Game Week 30, the absolute panic at the end of the day finalizing that wildcard draft. So I'll be going through that quick review even though we do have one game coming up tonight. Now in this video I've kind of combined the ultimate guide, or the best parts of the ultimate guide, like the projected goals, projected clean sheets. So we'll be going over all that good stuff for the upcoming Game Week 31, as well as my own team selection debates. So plenty of talking points to go over. So if you guys are interested in them, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So as mentioned, Game Week 30 was my wildcard week. It was actually more of a kind of few wildcard days, as this choice was only made about Monday. Now if you guys were in my deadline stream on Tuesday, I do thank you for that one. Also do apologize, my internet cut about 2 minutes before the deadline, but at least I did lock in my final wildcard draft before that. On the right hand side, you guys can see 49 points currently. We do have one player still to feature, that's Cole Palmer. So let's hope any points that come from him will make this green arrow even bigger. At the moment, it's not super significant. We're just below that top 100k, but fingers crossed Cole Palmer does a madness tonight. Now obviously after the wildcard, one free transfer, 0.1 in the bank, had a few questions about why I don't have two free transfers, and that's only if you had two stored before the wildcard. If you like myself only had one free transfer going into Game Week 30 and therefore only have one after the wildcard, so hopefully that makes a bit more sense to you guys now. But in the comments down below, how did your game week go? Was it better than my kind of week? Interested to see those of you that didn't wildcard how the week still progressed. I think my old team would have actually done pretty well with both Mbumo and Visa. But let's go on to how my team actually finalized for that Game Week 30 deadline, and the bench had a bit of a switch up. So as you guys can see, Verbruggen, the Brighton goalkeeper, didn't keep a clean sheet in Game Week 30, but I hope he does in Game Week 32, as that's when I'm planning to bench boost. So that was kind of the last thing that you guys had to finalize on your wildcard draft, is when you wanted a bench boost. And as you guys can see, Neco Williams also has a great fixture in Game Week 32. He also racked up a clean sheet plus a yellow card. On my bench wasn't too great, as he actually outperformed the rest of my defenders. Murphy, if he's coming off the bench for you guys, got an assist, but the bonus points cancelled out right at the end. Otherwise, Dan Burn escaped a yellow card, so he might be fine for double Game Week 32. Now probably the biggest switch up from my latest draft to my actual deadline draft was going to be Edison between the sticks. Now I know what you guys are probably thinking, why do I have Edison? But at least he got me a clean sheet and 6 points in Game Week 30. The reason I took Raya out and kept Edison was I wanted to keep that spot open for Saka in Game Week 33's double. Let me actually talk about the rest of my defense because this will make a bit more sense. Guardiola was the double up from Man City's defense, an unusual one for a team that doesn't keep a lot of clean sheets. But for me, Guardiola was kind of a no-brainer. He's probably the next most nailed defender from Man City, and they have great fixtures and doubles coming up. The only slight concern was him playing centre-back last night. Would prefer him at more of a fullback position as slightly more attacking, but I guess if he racks up clean sheets, I won't really mind. Now where the kind of Raya to Edison move comes into account is when you guys see my back line of Gabriel plus Saliba. Gabriel unfortunately racking up that hamstring injury, but he probably would have lost the clean sheet anyways. If you guys were lucky enough to go for Timber, I guess we'll see how lucky you are if his injury is actually bad, but it seems like Gabriel might be out for a minimum of a month. So that's one of those things we can't prepare for. I mean, a player you bring on a wild card going off in the opening 20 minutes, you just sometimes have to take those ones on the chin. To make matters worse though, as mentioned, they lost their clean sheet right at the end, so Saliba only got a 2-pointer. But I wasn't too keen on tripling up on this Arsenal defense, as that would block off Saka. I mean, it's quite ironic. I guess I'm going to take out Gabriel this week probably anyways to free up a slot, but how was I to know that before the Game Week 30 deadline? Now the biggest defender that I missed out on was going to be Munoz. I was super happy when they did concede to Southampton, as I thought that was a basically guaranteed clean sheet. I wasn't too favourable of those defensive fixtures coming up for Crystal Palace, even though they have a ton of doubles, but it's not like the attack did better than the defence. So at least our Man City double up got us some points, as the majority of defence has lost their clean sheet this week. Now let's add some players to keep Cole Palmer company. The first player is going to be Mo Salah. You'll notice no captaincy armband. I switched this right at the end of the deadline stream. My thinking behind this was I was going to go for Erling Haaland at the start of game week kind of 30's international break. So I stuck with that logic and went for another nailed Man City attacker. Now that Everton game was pretty cagey, pretty close, but at least Liverpool did end up winning. And as you guys can see, Salah got the clean sheet point. So this was one of my first weeks actually going against the Salah captaincy. I won't lie, it was pretty scary. I think his effective ownership was about 180%. But at least we came out with the dub at the end of the day. Now where we didn't take a dub, we took a massive L, was going to be on Eze and Saad, the double up in Crystal Palace attack. Don't worry, when you guys see my forward department, it gets even worse. Now, I don't really know what to say about this performance. I mean, from the FA Cup game, they look super strong. Against Southampton, they look completely flat, which does worry me with some tough fixtures coming up. So my two differentials, Eze, the Saad effective ownership is slightly high now thanks to the wildcarders. They were a complete bust. Let's just hope Cole Palmer doesn't make this a habit of our midfielders blanking and he gets a few returns. Definitely would love a few for the green arrow. Now up front on the wildcard was the most template part of any kind of wildcard draft. These three strikers are simple no-brainers, starting off with Isaac. Now he scored a goal, got a few bonus points, was subbed with a potential kind of strain, which is a major concern ahead of Leicester in game week 31. They do play only on Monday though, so holding thumbs that he is okay, and I'd probably say he was subbed as a precaution. But super consistent, Newcastle are still a pretty decent squad. Really happy that I got Isaac in my wildcard team. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about the Crystal Palace striker Mateta. I told you guys that it was going to get worse. He got subbed before the 60th minute mark. It's only the one pointer, as it seems like he's kind of getting his fitness back up after this injury. Even when he was playing though in the opening 60, didn't look fantastic. I was hoping maybe it was a once-off game against Southampton and Crystal Palace will be back for game week 31. Definitely needed with three of their attackers in my squad. Now the final player and the star of the show is going to be Mamouche. The Man City striker played the full 90 minutes, racked up about 1.5 xg, only the 1 goal and 3 bonus points, taking him to 9. So I know he only outperformed Salah by 6 points, but I'm going to take this as a dub, and especially because he played 90 minutes, does look like he's a great asset for the future game weeks. Might be a little bit greedy, I was hoping for a bit more from him, maybe one more goal, as that would have been pure differential points. But I'm going to take it, it's a green arrow at the end of the day. Let's just hope Cole Palmer does some magic tonight, hoping for quite a cold evening. But as mentioned, how did your week go? On the wildcard, how many points are you guys showing? If you weren't on the wildcard, how did the game week go? And how's that overall rank looking? Now before we go over my actual team selection, I want to include the projected clean sheets and projected goals, as I always find these super useful for the upcoming game weeks. So let's go over the defensive ratings first. As you guys can see, every fixture on screen right now, green to grey to pink to maroon, the same color rating as the FPL website. Now this week, the clean sheet chances aren't that great. I mean, Arsenal pretty high there, 46%, and then the next best team, 37%. So I've only gone for the 4 fixtures in terms of the green rating because there's a ton of teams on 27%, Ipswich, Wolves as well as Aston Villa. So quite a big drop off there from about 33% to 27%. So then the next color category, and your obvious teams to avoid are your newly promoted squads, as well as Brentford, United and Fulham. So quite understandable. The one fixture I have my eye on though is going to be Ipswich, Wolves, both exactly 27%. So you guys know what that means. It means the projected goals are exactly the same. So it doesn't seem like that's going to be the fixture to target too many goals in. But you have fixtures like a Brentford, Chelsea where there's probably going to be quite a few goals for either team. The one thing I want to focus on here is if you guys are looking at a Gabriel replacement, I wanted to highlight these squads, as I know it might not be kind of a once-off single game week, but at least now you can consider if you should take them out or just put them on your bench. You guys can pause the screen if you want to, but now let's go over to the more exciting attacking fixtures, and that's going to be the projected goals. So this week, if we don't have a fit Isaac, I think this game week might be slightly boring, as after them, there are not that many kind of campsy options. So even though Newcastle aren't the highest projected goal scorers, that's going to be Spurs on 2.6, hardly any of us own Spurs attackers. So if Isaac is out injured for 2.25 projected goals, we're going to have to drop off to those second grade fixtures. Liverpool on 1.75, Chelsea on 1.8, or you can look at Man City also on 1.75. So I won't lie, those projections aren't too fantastic, going to be quite hard to predict out of those players who scores the most, so fingers crossed Isaac is back for Monday's fixture. We spoke about kind of Ipswich Wolves, as you guys can see, exact same projections, 1.28 goals, and some pretty high scoring games like Chelsea Brentford. Now I'm just hopeful that Crystal Palace with 1.55 can get their act together, and the one team I want to focus on is going to be Forest, as the odds don't really like them. As you guys can see, 1.23, maybe because Chris Wood is out injured, maybe that has something to do with the projections, but even from a defensive point of view, 1.75 for Aston Villa is pretty high. So this shows you that sometimes you guys can't trust the odds. I'd regard Nottingham Forest, especially this season, as quite a strong team. But hopefully this is going to be quite useful for you guys defensively and from an attacking point of view. Now let's go on to how this has shaped my decisions for upcoming Game Week 31. So I'm not going to run over the team in too much depth, kind of going player by player. I'm going to go department or position by position, just because you guys have seen this team so much over the past week. Now with 1 free transfer and 0.1 in the bank and a few injury concerns, I'll talk about my transfer plan after this. Now on the bench this week, most decisions are quite easy. The only one is which midfielder to bench. Currently I've got Saar because Eze is slightly more differential. On the wildcard, most people went for Saar over an Eze, so I'm going to play the odds here if I have to choose one. Otherwise, Gabriel vs Everton, currently benching him, and I'll talk about why I can roll the transfer. And then also Neco Williams against Aston Villa with those low clean sheet projections. Now between the sticks, I've gone for Edison just because I do have 2 Crystal Palace attackers. I could play the odds here and go for Verbruggen, but I'm just going to put all my eggs in one basket and hope that Crystal Palace score. I don't own someone like a Bruno Fernandes, so Edison is perfectly fine, and I've gone for the double up with Guardiola. Fingers crossed he is playing slightly more attacking than that centre back position. I kind of feel like the attacking returns might have dried up. Then I've also got Dan Burn, he's deputising for Gabriel's out injured. Great fixture though. Leicester away doesn't get much better than that. Otherwise, Saliba also with a great game, Everton, the highest projected clean sheets. And with Gabriel out, I think he's going to be quite important. Then from a midfielder point of view, once again, no Mo Salah captaincy against Fulham. I just think they're quite a strong team. And personally, I think there are other players with higher ceilings. He will however be our vice captain. If push comes to shove, I'll have to go for him. Or do I go differential once again? Otherwise, Cole Palmer, Brentford aren't great at keeping clean sheets, but Cole Palmer hasn't been great at scoring or assisting recently. Let's hope for a big performance tonight against Spurs. Otherwise, Eze already spoke about him. I think Brighton, there's a chance of kind of scoring, and I like him as a more differential than Saar. Now between Murphy and Saar, it's quite close. I'm just playing the fixture. He got an assist in Game Week 30. Let's hope he gets more against Leicester. As mentioned, a simple fixture play. I guess I could also consider the fixture play to be Isaac. It's the better fixture. He's in great form though. Playing on Monday, so let's hope that he recovers from this knock. I highly doubt Eddie Howe gives us too much indication that he is back for Monday in the press conference, so maybe we get a few leaks that he's back in training. Mateta, let's hope that it was a once-off game and he's back in form. I do worry about him slightly though, as the previous 2 games have been pretty bad. As mentioned with Eze though, Brighton is a pretty strong fixture. Let's just hope for some attacking returns. He definitely has the quality. Then at the moment, no Kamsi on the Egyptian striker we have from Man City, Mamouche. Now United away is a pretty good game. It is a derby though, so anything can happen. But you probably do have to say that Man City have the odds or are the favourites, and any striker for Man City in a favourable fixture is going to hopefully get you some points. So the team at the moment, especially the starting 11, does look pretty strong. Yes, the Gabriel injury is a deal breaker, but we could actually just bench him. However, there are a few transfer plans I want to go over. If you guys can see any other move that you would do with my team, you can drop in the comments down below. Maybe you guys see something that I don't. Now the transfer plan this week might just be to roll the transfer. I think that's the most obvious move to do just because of the Champions League coming up next week. And with us bench boosting in 32 gives us 2 free transfers to approach that bench boost. The most obvious transfer is going to be Gabriel out for another defender. The most no-brainer one would probably be Timber, but he's also out injured. So what kind of banking the transfer allows us to do is just see if Timber's back fully fit. If he is, then we can always approach kind of Game Week 32 with that free transfer, or go for a defender with a better fixture. I just feel like it allows me to be a bit more flexible. The double game weeks also have been confirmed as I'm recording this video, so I probably want more clarity on that before committing transfers. I was also looking at some Gabba replacements. There's not many with kind of nice doubles, so I think waiting for more information is probably the best play I can do. So let's see where I do land come that Game Week 31 deadline. As mentioned, as always, 1 hour before the deadline I'll be doing a deadline stream. Fingers crossed the internet doesn't crash this time. Make sure those notifications are on though, so that you guys get notified when I drop a video or do go live. And also join my Discord, quite active on there, link in the description. But this is basically our video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hopefully I see you guys in the deadline stream. Otherwise, enjoy tonight. As mentioned, hopefully it's going to be a cold evening. But for the time being, I'm Messiah, it's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.